The Sports Talk, where all opinions are heard, but not always accepted. For the fans who live and die by their teams. For the fans who stay up for those extra innings. The city we're going to work isn't just another phrase. Where we live and die by the next swing of the bat. Die-hard fans hate us and love us. But feelings have never been held back. You are listening to Detroit Sports Talk with Brett and JT. Yes, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us for another episode of DST, Detroit Sports Talk, featuring JT
and Brett.
And today we're going to be diving straight into the NBA draft. So the Pistons, with the 12th overall pick, select Luke Kennard out of Duke. It was kind of an obvious pick. But, he really addresses some of the team's needs. We got the three-point shooting was one of the biggest needs that this team had going into the offseason. And so it's really nice to see them address it without having to trade or, lose anything. So they just automatically got better from the draft. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think it was a solid pick in my opinion. I think at 12, he was the best player available. He was definitely something we needed. Again, best three-point shooter in the draft, one of the best offensive players in the draft. And we definitely addressed that. I would have liked to see us try to trade Andre or Reggie and try to get rid of their contracts, but at the same time, I didn't expect it because with that salary, a lot of teams didn't want to take that on. And with Andre being the kind of old school center as he is, the NBA is kind of transitioning into centers that can shoot and shoot free throws and shoot threes and do all that, and he's not that. So a lot of teams don't want that.
Yeah, there's a reason that, you see, like, DeAndre Jordan not really getting talked about too much, and Drummond, and hell, even LaMarcus Aldridge, we're not even seeing him, like...
And even he can shoot the ball as well.
I'm really confused about what happened over there, because, like, they don't seem to like him, he seems to not, like...
I just think when they originally signed him, I wasn't sure how he was going to fit with that team, and it really hasn't worked out. With the Trailblazers, he was a guy that averaged 25 a game and 16 rebounds a game. So he was a star in the NBA. And then he went over to the Spurs and kind of was supposed to be the successor of Tim Duncan, and he hasn't lived up to that.
He was supposed to be the duo with Kawhi Leonard, and it was kind of just Kawhi, and I was like, oh, Aldridge is singing in the background.
Yeah, he'll have a couple good games, but other than that, he'll be nowhere to be found.
Yeah, no, I'm really confused about that. So I don't know where to value him, but at the same time, I'd value him higher than Drummond or like DeAndre Jordan.
Yeah, I agree.
But so I'm not shocked that the Pistons couldn't get a trade done. It disappointed me for sure. But I didn't expect too much. The Sacramento for the 10th for our pick and him, I would have liked that, but at the same time, I'm not gonna be all upset over it because I can only get more for Drummond from here on out after another season.
Yeah, so I thought if you could trade him, if you could find a good deal to trade him in before the NBA draft, then you do it. But if not, I feel like you give Drummond and Jackson and kind of this core of players one more season, at least one more half season, because like you said, they can only get better.
Exactly.
And so if anything, it ups their trade value. You can try to trade them at the trade deadline for this upcoming season. Or, maybe they'll get better and they'll kind of regain their form from a couple years ago. Maybe you just keep them together. You never know. It's only up from here, honestly. So I think the Kennard pick worked out great. We didn't have to really trade our pick. We didn't have to get rid of anything. So I think it was a solid pick for us.
What do you think Luke Kennard, he's going to come off the bench. Stan doesn't really like starting the rookies.
Yeah, and plus Stan said that he needs to get better at defense.
Defensively, yeah.
They said as much as he'll play will depend on his defense.
Yeah. So, question for you is, what will his three-point shooting percentage be this season? And points he'll average?
I think his three-point percentage will be around 35 to 38% from three, which isn't terrible. He's a rookie, so he's transitioning. As you guys know, the line's kind of a little bit farther back. Not a huge difference, but it is a little bit to throw it off. And like I said, it's a big transition from college to NBA. And coming off the bench, I think he'll average maybe about 2 to 3 points a game, nothing special.
All right, I think he's going to be, I think we're going to see 39%. And I think we're going to be seeing 6 points a game. Through the course of a season, he'll average that. Just because I feel that He'll have a slow start, I feel, because he will be adjusting. But at the same time, we're going to see him eventually pick it up probably midway through the season. I feel like there's going to be an injury or two where he'll be forced into either a starting role at some point or just to get more minutes in general. So we will be probably seeing a little bit more of him as the season wears on. But yeah, so probably around 6 points, 39% shooting. That's me being a little hopeful.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are expecting him or hoping to expect him to kind of turn into a player like JJ Redick, which I would be more than happy with. JJ Redick he's not a guy that's going to drive to the lane and he's a star in this league, but he's a great role player, a guy that can nail the three anytime you need him to. So I feel like, especially with Kennard being a left-handed shooter, he's a tough guy to kind of block, and you don't see a lot of left-handed three-point specialists. So I feel like we got a good pick in Kennard.
Yeah, I'm just worried that people are going to be like wanting him to like. I feel like people in this town just expect our draft picks to like
just automatically
start and like be doing a ton of things, but we don't have a top 10 pick, you know.
Right.
Like even the top 10 picks sometimes don't do it. It's mostly like 1 through 5 who are expected to start, and that's because the teams are so damn terrible that they're not going to be doing too much. So I mean, they have nothing to lose. So I don't know. I just hope fans' expectations are not too high.
Yeah, I mean, I've been watching Kennard at Duke for the last couple of years because I'm a Duke fan, and he's really been impressive. He's not just a 3-point shooter. He can get to the lane. He's
Very
got
athletic.
He's got great ball handling skills. Like we said, the only thing he needs to get better on is defense, and he's willing to do it.
All right, so we're going to be moving on. Up next, I thought we'd just have a little bit of predictions going on here. And so I wanted to get the thoughts for you and me on who we think is going to win the 2017 MLB World Series.
All right, so today is June 26th, so we are almost halfway through the MLB season. So it's very early to do predictions, but at this point in time, my prediction for the World Series would be, from the AL, would be the Houston Astros. This team is clicking on all cylinders, one of the best teams in the league. Their offense is insanely good. They got guys like Correa and Altuve and George Springer who are just lighting it up this season. They're pitching with Dallas Keuchel and Mike Fiers and Lance McCullers Jr. I think it's just almost unstoppable. So I got them going from the AL. And then from the NL, I had to give it a little bit of a harder thought. There's a lot of great teams in the NL this year, but after thinking about it and going in depth, I'm deciding to go with the Dodgers. Dodgers, as many of you guys know, are on a 10-game win streak right now. And their pitching staff it's unreal. I mean, they got a guy in Clayton Kershaw who a lot of people say is the best pitcher of this generation.
I think he is one of the best pitchers of all time.
And they got a closer in Kelly Jansen, who not until yesterday walked his first batter of the season. I don't think he's blown a save this season. His ERA is sub-1, so he's doing outstanding. Their lineup is, again, stacked from the top to the bottom. They got a guy in Cody Bellinger, who's
having a phenomenal year.
Who's only played either 60 games or just under 60 games, and he's already hit, I think, 24 home runs. He hit 2 more last night. So this guy is just killing the ball right now, and if they stay this hot, I think you'll see those two in the World Series.
Well, this is actually really funny. I guess this isn't going to be too long of a topic for us because I had the exact same 2 teams, but Astros, I do have winning it all. I've said the Astros since the start of the season. I've been a big fan of theirs for about 2.5 years now. I've just kind of followed them, and I love all facets of their team. Their pitching staff with Dallas, he's a stud, and I feel like everyone on that team's hungry. Springer is just hitting the ball phenomenally. He's having a great season. Altuve is continuing to impress, and so I mean, at the trade deadline, I feel like they can only get better. And so I feel like it's their year. They're going to put together something and they're going to make a run out of this. Then throwing it over to the National League, we have who I think is the team that wants it so badly, the Dodgers. I feel like they've tried over and over, and I feel like this year Cody Bellinger has given them the spark they need to really get over that hump and win like a round in the playoffs and really advance. Clayton Kershaw, he's never had that great of postseason numbers, but I feel like this year, with not having to rely so much on only him, I feel like there's going to be a little bit more for the of the team that can carry the load with him. So I feel like it's not going to be on only his shoulders anymore. I really expect them to have a phenomenal year and a great postseason. It will definitely be a very fun postseason in the MLB this year.
Yeah, I agree. Sucks that we can't see the Tigers make it, but at the same time, I'm definitely interested to see this postseason. Again, we're almost halfway through, so anything could change. These teams could have bad second halves.
Yeah,
some of these rookies could fall off a little bit.
Tigers could get on that 15-game winning streak, you know?
Yeah, I mean, let's be real here, but at the same time, I am kind of excited for this postseason. I do think both the Astros and the Dodgers will continue to have great seasons in the second half. I think
they have a lot of depth.
Right, and I think I'm not entirely sure about the Dodgers, but I'm definitely sure about the Astros will make a move at the trade deadline to get better. Dodgers are a wild card, but they've got a pretty high salary and a high payroll, so I'm not entirely sure. But I definitely think the Astros will get better.
Yeah, no, it'll definitely be pretty interesting. Just wanted to touch on this. The Tigers finally they won their first game last night after a 10-game losing. Or no, I don't know if it was it 10.
Yeah, I think it was 10.
It was 10 because they just got to 500 and they then fell 10 games below. So yeah, I mean their season's all about over. They're gonna be looking to shop pieces now. Sadly, no real moves got made. I mean, if you want to say K-Rod got released, he did get released, but I mean that's not really news to me.
That should have happened a long time ago. So.
And they changed the starting lineup last night, and I'm great for you. I mean, that didn't interest me either because that's something again that should have been changed a long time ago to put JD and Upton into the power hitting roles at 3 and 4, just like Brad said, and not have a guy who has the worst slugging for 4 hitters in the league at 4. So I mean, there's not really a lot to like. I didn't want to really spend too much time on this topic today, just because I feel like I could tell you the same thing every single day. But I'm waiting to see Brad Ausmus get fired. I'm getting sick of this. I mean, it's not gonna do anything. I'm not saying it's gonna solve anything. I just really can't stand him, and I've wanted him out since he blew the entire series with Joe Nathan and what's his face in the 8th inning against the Orioles. Was it the Orioles?
I think so.
In the playoffs.
Yeah.
That disgusted me. Him and whoever our 8th inning guy was. Obviously, I could really care less. It
might have been Benoit, possibly.
No, it wasn't Benoit. It was that big guy we got out of Boston who had a phenomenal first half of the season. He was the 8th inning guy next to Joe Nathan.
Honestly, I can't remember.
But he had that beard. But either way, Jobber Chamberlain, there it is.
Oh.
But yeah, they collapsed in 2 straight games, cost them the chance. It was the final year with Scherzer, and you had a real chance to do something there, and that was your real final chance. But you gave the keys to a boy to drive the Ferrari. So I mean that's what's gonna happen. And I really feel bad for that we couldn't do anything for Al Avila this year. You know what? I'm really glad that he wasn't around for this year because this is embarrassing. This team is pathetic.
You mean Mike Ilitch?
Or Mike Ilitch. I'm sorry, not Al Avila. Mike Ilitch. I mean, I'm God rest his soul. The favorite owners I think I've ever seen. Truly loved Detroit. Wanted to build it himself. Detroit everyone should be thanking him for what he's doing for this city and what his family is doing. But I am so happy he's not here. He would be disgusted looking at this baseball team.
Yeah, and as much I love Mike Ilitch as much as the next guy. Definitely one of my favorite owners of all time. Really cared, really poured his heart into this team. But the one thing that this proves is that money can't buy championships. It
can get you close.
Yeah,
but it's up to the players.
Yeah, it won't. Most of the time, at the end of the day, it won't get the job done. And I'm with you. I think Ausmus needs to go. You can't. Nothing is going to change at this point. What if you fire Ausmus? I mean, you're not. Even if you keep Ausmus or fire Ausmus, it doesn't matter. You're still not making the playoffs. So what's to lose? I think you got to fire him. And honestly, I'm kind of interested to see what the Tigers do here at the trade deadline. Obviously, we all think, and hopefully Avila thinks the same, that they should sell. The only thing I'm worried about with that is I don't know if Al Avila can actually scope out the right talent for these trades.
So I actually said this last season during the offseason. I got really pissed at him. This was before I wanted him fired. This was the first thing that I truly saw, besides terrible contracts, that really made me question him. Was he said we're not going to be over the luxury tax at the start of the 2018 season, and then he also said I do not expect to have the same team back as I did this year. And he just made all these things where he basically told all the teams, hey, I need to get rid of these people because now I'm telling everyone I'm doing it. So he kind of showed his entire hand to all the other teams. And that kind of that embarrassed me to have him as my general manager because well, he's getting rid of all these guys. Well, why am I going to offer top dollar if
he's doing it anyway?
Exactly, if he has to do what he says. Like, if he made it seem like they weren't keen on just giving up every single player and maybe, like, actually knew how to bargain. Because that's one thing I really liked about Dombrowski was I really thought he was good with, like, trying to get the most out of his trades. And, like I feel like Tigers fans never really knew what was coming. And so, with him, I literally feel like I can't trust him with doing any of these trades because he opens his mouth. I think that's one of the biggest problems with him.
Yeah, and even when Dombrowski was here, I was nervous when we had to sell for the first time because Dombrowski was, don't get me wrong, he was amazing at going out. He was like a wizard going out there and getting these trades, trading guys that, I mean, they were our prospects, but haven't turned out to be really anything.
I know.
And you're getting guys in return that ended up being stars. And so for the first time last year or 2 years ago when he had to sell, I was very nervous because I wasn't sure if he knew what to get in return, like what prospects would be good. Because the only thing he was used to was trading the prospects. He didn't care about what they did.
You know what? He did pretty good.
Right? Yeah,
with that trade.
He did pretty good. Yeah, he proved everybody wrong. And I don't see Avila being able to do that same thing. I can't.
And it's funny because you would almost expect he would be able to do the same thing because he was the assistant. Like he mentored him.
And the thing is, I think you're not even going to get as much as you would before because
I'm so worried.
Because guys like Price was one of the best pitchers in the entire league. Whether he had a down year or not, he was still one of the best pitchers. We don't have that to offer this year. And plus, Price was in his final year of his contract, so he didn't have some massive contract holding him down like Verlander does. So, and with Cespedes as well, Cespedes was still young, was still one of the best outfield, hit a great defensive arm, hit for power, hit for average with us. And so he was offered. I mean, the only guy we really have that has value is JD.
And I'm worried that So I was actually listening to a really interesting topic on Sports Center, and it was like, not situational, but like hitters, but like like a left fielder, like JD Martinez. How much are they worth? And like it dawned on me that what gets tossed around during the trade deadline. Pitchers. Very rarely do you see a hitter. The last star hitter that we saw get traded was probably Cespedes. That was on that caliber next to JD. Now, while he got a lot more, he can do a lot more than JD. JD is more of a one-dimensional player than Cespedes is because then you have that threat at left field, and I'm just really worried that we're not going to be able to get as much for JD as I thought we were going to be able to get, and I'm really worried that we're not going to be getting much for any of these guys, really.
Yeah, I don't think we'll get much for any of these guys either, but at the same time, you still got to do your best. You got to do your homework, sit down, and really scope out the guys that are proving themselves in these lower classes and have the potential to come up, have these kind of, I mean, look at Aaron Judge, he's a big-bodied, big guy, so it's like he kind of has an advantage over everybody else to begin with. So you got to look for these kind of diamond in the rough players, and you got, I mean, it's all about luck when you trade these guys and hope for the best.
Exactly.
I mean, look at Fulmer. Fulmer was a guy who was I think he was in Double-A. He wasn't even in Triple-A yet. He was in Double-A, and we ended up bringing him up, and we had guys like Norris and Boyd who, they said Boyd was the most ready for the majors, followed by Norris, and then Fulmer was in Double-A, so he still needed to go through Triple-A. Yeah. And look at it now. Fulmer's the ace of the squad, and you got Boyd who's down in Triple-A because he can't command his pitches, and then you got Norris who's struggling because he also can't command his pitches. His pitch count gets too high too quick, and he's not effective with his off-speed stuff yet. So it's just, you never know. It's all about luck.
Yeah, no, I mean, it'll definitely be interesting to see. I just don't feel like we're going to be getting too much out of this. But moving on, I just kind of wanted to do this for fun. There's always that moment in sports that either that will define a year for you or just be something you never want to talk about again. And everyone has their one moment, but what I want to make it a little more negative. What is the one moment in all of sports that you have ever watched, rewatched, or just heard about that broke your heart?
I'm going to go with watched here, something that I watched. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of something that really broke my heart, but This one is probably the closest. I'm a big Oklahoma City Thunder fan. I was a big Durant fan in Texas, and when he got drafted to OKC, I really like Westbrook. I just really liked that team. It was, besides the Pistons, it was my favorite team in the NBA. And when they were able to make it to the NBA Finals, I believe it was in 2012, and they went to face the Miami Heat in LeBron's second year with the big three with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. After they made it to the finals their first year, lost to the Mavericks, LeBron still didn't have that ring, and I really wanted OKC to win that. I'm not a LeBron fan. I didn't want to see LeBron get his first ring because, again, he took the easy way out. He went to Miami and he joined the big three, and he still couldn't get it done the first year. So now I was really hoping they couldn't get it done the second year. Plus, it was against my favorite team, OKC, and OKC couldn't get the job done. So to me, that really kind of broke my heart.
That is a tough one, and players that like just jump around like that, and KD, that annoyed me, but at the same time, I feel I've gotten used to it at this point. It's something I'm going to continue to see around the league. I'm going to see players just jumping to teams because that frustrates me so badly. And when LeBron went to the Heat, and it people don't compare it. All right, KD did not have a TV show where he sat down and he's like, all right,
an hour-long special.
We're gonna go. We're not gonna win 3. We're not gonna win 4. We're not gonna win 5. They're gonna win 3. Yeah. No wait, was it 3? It was 2, wasn't it? It was 2.
Miami, yeah,
it was 2. He won 2. He won 2 there. I was promised multiple.
Yeah, 7, 8. Yeah, all
8.
these numbers.
Oh yeah, didn't even spend 8 years there.
Right.
But. So you were upset when he won his first ring. I was upset when he won his third ring. That one broke my heart. I couldn't stand the Cavaliers team. I couldn't stand Kyrie. I couldn't stand LeBron. Kyrie annoyed me so much when he was yelling bye-bye to the Pistons fans when they swept us in the first round. That made me just not like him anymore. And then LeBron, I've always hated. I hate LeBron more than anyone else I hate in sports. And I got to watch domination through 4 games. I was like, look at this commanding 3-1 lead by the Golden State Warriors. I was like, this is what I like to see. I'm sick of LeBron, and I'm like watching him get beat down, and then all of a sudden I'm watching, they look terrible. Curry's gone MIA. His injury's catching up to him, and all of a sudden this team looks really weak, and they can't seem to stop them offensively. And then I'm watching the Cavs blow them out, and then blow them out. And then now we're here at Game 7, and my heart's pounding, and it's been a great game down the stretch. I'm at Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm having a great time. And then I'm watching them get a steal, and I'm like, all right, here we go. We just got to run it down the floor. And then they go up for Iguodala goes up for the layup, I guess. And then LeBron, out of nowhere, smacks the ball at the backboard, and my heart just sank. And then they throw it down the court, and then Kyrie hits a dagger 3, and my heart is in so much pain. And to top it off, it doesn't matter to me that the worst player in sports is about to win a ring. But Curry, who had been terrible throughout the finals, and he'd gone MIA now through the Game 7, with him and Draymond Green both sitting at that 3-point line, and Curry chucked up a 3 when Draymond had made, he was shooting over 50% from 3 in that game. I wanted Draymond to shoot that shot so badly. I don't know how many other people felt this way, but me personally, I was begging for Draymond to demand that ball from Curry. And when I watched Curry he hit the backboard. It wasn't even close to going in. And just watching LeBron be arrogant, act like he's not on a super team. He's on a super team. It's just a different level. Act like he's like this golden child when the fans that are cheering him burned his jersey at one point. All of that mixed together with just the fact that I can't stand the arrogance on this guy. That had to be one of the most heartbreaking things ever. My entire tray of pop and wings that I had at B-Dubs all fell on the ground. I flipped the table basically. Big outburst from me. Anger, I stormed out of that damn place. It was a rough time for me. And the 3-1 jokes. I am so sick of them. Like, that is all I hear nowadays. And so for me, that's easily the biggest heartbreaking moment. Probably that or the Lions playing the Cowboys, just because you had the game won at one point. So those two things mixed, it's always going to be that Cavs game, but the Lions one hurts a lot too.
Yeah, along with the Tigers one as well in the World Series when they lost either time.
Yeah,
more the 2006, but at the same time,
it's hard to sleep at night sometimes. But ladies and gentlemen, that is all for this episode of DST with JT and Brett. I hope you guys liked watching, or not watching, but listening. Until next time, go Detroit Sports.